City of Shaker Heights, Thornton Park, and the Shaker Figure Skating Club are proud to present the 1988 Thornton Park Ice Show, The Great Adventure. Time is something that we all know about, but it is hard to tell exactly what time is. Harry Benn, in his book, All Kinds of Time, says that seconds are bugs, minutes are children, hours are people, days are postmen. Weeks are Sunday school, months are north, south, east, and west, and in between. Seasons are wildflowers, tame flowers, golden leaves, and snow. Years are Santa Claus, centuries, George Washington, and forever is God. Time is, in other words, a never-ending story. To start us on our great adventure, to show us the way over the rainbow, we call on a star of the Ice Capades, men's single champion for the 1988 World Professionals, 1987 gold medalist from the Canadian Winter Games, and star of the Ice Capades, our guest from Toronto, Canada, Kevin Parker.
That you dare to dream really do come true.
And now it's time to meet a rather important character in our great adventure. We have at the north end of the rink an M22 digitally synchronized, self-actuating, proto-automated chronological transportation facilitator, otherwise known as Jerome. Scott and Sonia Martin of the Shaker Figure Skating Club have just discovered Jerome and are rather curious about him, or it, and what they are going to find out about our M22 digitally synchronized, self-actuating, proto-automated chronological transportation facilitator is that it, or he, is a time machine. Well, Scott and Sonia have certainly sent us on a great adventure. We have traveled back in time, not days or weeks or even centuries. We have been propelled backwards in time 220 million years, give or take a few eons, to the age of the dinosaurs. Dinosaur comes from the Greek words for terrible and lizard. Dinosaurs were not lizards, but the biggest were indeed terrible, standing as high as 20 feet, with 4-foot-long heads and huge dagger-like teeth. Some dinosaurs were 95 feet long, weighing 85 tons. On the other hand, we have some dinosaurs here no higher than 3 feet. Sharing the Earth of 220 million years ago are the pterodactyls, reptiles that can fly with huge wing spreads, large heads, and noses that look like beaks. We have here an interesting example of the genus Pteranodon Shakerum plaborum. Its name is Timothy Garon. Suddenly, it's getting colder. It's snowing, and a huge ice cliff is pushing its way south from the polar ice cap. We have moved down the timeline to about 2 million years ago, and we find ourselves in the middle of the Ice Age, and with the Ice Age come icicles. The wind is picking up, painting the landscape with bits of silver snowflakes, spraying millions of flashing diamonds that shimmer and glow. And the most glittering and sparkling of the icy domain is the queen of the snowflakes, skated by Shaker Figure Skating Club member Christy Budash. But soon the Ice Age fingers loosen their grip on the land. The sun rays warm the faith of the globe, and we find that a new resident of the Earth has appeared. This one stands up and walks on 2 legs and communicates with sounds that have meaning, sounds that we call words, words such as yabba dabba doo. Cavemen couldn't be cavemen without cave women. After all, while the men are out hunting the saber-toothed tiger, someone has to sweep out the cave, wash the family leopard skins, prepare the mammoth stew for supper, decorate the cave by painting pictures on the wall, invent fire and the wheel, and generally run the world. Our cave woman, very much in control of things, is Shaker Figure Skating Club member Amy Posner. And now we have moved our timeline forward to 3100 BC. We're in the fertile valley of the Nile, the land of giant pyramids, temples, and pharaohs, the mighty civilization of ancient Egypt, where obviously everyone walked like an Egyptian. When it comes to queens, the Egyptians are second to none. There was everybody's sweetie, Nefertiti, and that flatterer of Anthony, Cleopatra, skated here by Figure Skating Club member Catherine Webster. Ancient Egypt was also noted for people who were all wrapped up in themselves. You guessed it, they were called mummies.
Buried in his jammies. Got a condo made of stoner.
One of the most famous kings of ancient Egypt was Tutankhamun, or King Tut, who was only 9 years old when he was crowned pharaoh. King Tut is famous for establishing the first flea market in history, his tomb, which was piled high with chairs and vases and statues and tables and beds. He also made art museums very, very happy. Making us very happy is our King Tut, triple gold medalist, former star of Disney's Magic Kingdom on Ice, 1982 United States professional champion, member of the 1982 World Professional Team, currently coaching at Greenbrier Rink here in Cleveland. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Glenn Replogle. Ladies and gentlemen, this afternoon at the Skate with the Stars, there was a dance contest held, and two participants in the dance contest won the opportunity to perform tonight with Glenn Replogle. We're going to welcome to the ice now the two winners, Aaron Budash and Jory Friedman. Jory Friedman. Across the wine-dark sea from Egypt lies Greece, where more than 2,000 years ago they started the idea that every citizen should take an active part in government. This developed into the modern-day concept of democracy, that the government should take a part of every citizen. The course of events in ancient Greece was controlled by the gods, headed by Zeus and Hera, whose children included Apollo, Pluto, Poseidon, Artemis, Athena, and the goddess of love and beauty, Aphrodite. Our Aphrodite, accompanied by her ladies-in-waiting, is Heidi Stouffer. The neighbors of the Greeks were the Romans, so called because they wouldn't stay put in one place. The Romans moved from Rome into Europe, Middle East, and Northern Africa. They were the first tourists. After the fall of Rome, some say Rome fell because the Romans had too many baths, came the feudal period with great castles, kings and queens, lords and ladies, knights and tournaments, and of course, lovely damsels. The problem with damsels was that they were always in distress, threatened by dragons or wicked fairies who wanted to put them to sleep until kissed by their one true love. Word has reached the knights of the square table that a dragon has been devouring maidens out of season, and so with gallant hearts, The brave knights are off to the rescue. It is now the age of discovery, the time of the bold explorers who dared to sail the vast seas to bring back riches, to find new lands, and to name these unknown lands. One such explorer was Amerigo Vespucci, after whom the New World was named, America. But aren't we glad that the New World was named after his first name? Think how silly we'd feel singing Vespucci the Beautiful. Ship after ship sailed from the New World to Europe laden with gold, jewels, and rare spices, just the sort of booty to attract these ruthless, cutthroat pirates. Meanwhile, in the exotic land of Araby, the men were not so much concerned with exploring unknown lands as living the good life. There, the sheiks and pashas developed the concept that it was necessary for the proper life of each man to have a harem of raving beauties around to sweep the palace, wash the silken robes, cook delicious meals, check the astrological charts, tell engrossing stories, and generally run the world for them. The New World was discovered because Christopher Columbus wanted to find a new route to the Far East, to mysterious and exotic China, where they had already invented printing, macaroni, and fireworks. We have 3 from column A, 4 from column B, 3 from column C, but beware, they're hot and spicy, these China dolls. Following Christopher Columbus to the New World were the settlers. The French came to Canada, the Spanish to Florida and Mexico. Drawn to the northeast were the English because, after all, they could see right there on their maps that this part of the New World was called New England. The colonists had a new nation in mind, but a nation needs symbols. There was one great argument as to whether the national bird should be the turkey or the eagle. Those in favor of the eagle won, and the turkey was consigned to Thanksgiving, which is all to the good. Can you imagine eating roast eagle with stuffing at Thanksgiving? But the most important symbol of the new nation was its flag. Red and white stripes, blue field with white stars, skated here by club member Sloan Merrick. As we know, the American colonists became unhappy with the way that Mother England was running the show. They didn't like tea with taxes, they preferred it with lemon. They didn't want taxation without representation, and they didn't like warm beer. So in 1776, the new nation of the United States was created. This new country, 13 states along the Atlantic Ocean, couldn't be kept penned in, and so the settlers started to move to the west, over the Appalachians, into the Great Lakes and the Ohio Valley, past the Cuyahoga River, stopping at Shooter's for a cool one, and then on into Indian Territory. Around the campfires at night, the Indian braves tell of the legendary princess who loved her warrior brave, who had been wounded in a fight with a great bear, the Indian princess who saved her brave and nursed him back to health. A story skated for us by club member Lisa Bodner. Beyond the Ohio Valley and the Great Lakes lies the vast and endless prairies through which the settlers had to travel on foot, on horseback, and in wagon trains. It was here that the great herds of cattle were raised, roped, and branded by rough-and-tumble cowboys and cowgirls. The settlers tried to tame the West, the cowboys tried, but it really took the iron horse to sew the country together with steel rails, wooden ties, and telegraph wires. And a new sound was added to the baying of the coyote and the mooing of the cattle, the whistle of the locomotive. The railroad brought civilization to the untamed West, white shirts and ties and knives and forks and china and books and pictures. But the most important import for the cowboys was the dance hall girls and the can-can from gay Paris, led by Mademoiselle Fifi, otherwise known as club member Lindsay Waggle. With the opening of the West and the flexing of the young country's muscles came the realization that woman's place was not only in the home but out in the world, and especially in the voting booth. And equally determined to make their mark on the world are three very independent young ladies. From the Shaker Club, we have Andrea Conrad, Stacy Simon, and Sumitra Waltz. Over the years, we have been privileged to have as our guests here at the Thornton Park Ice Show two extremely talented skaters. We have watched with pride their progress from competition to competition, and now we are pleased to welcome them back as full-fledged ice skating professionals. Stars of the Ice Capades, silver medalists from the 1988 World Professionals. Ladies and gentlemen, Kristen Lowry and Chip Rossback. And now to conclude the first part of tonight's great adventure, we're proud to call on the Shaker Figure Skating Club Precision Team, the Crimsonettes. The spirit of a nation is mirrored in its music and its dances. And here is a kaleidoscope of the American spirit, first illustrated by this group of skaters with Sweet Georgia Brown. The 1920s were typified by flappers, by quick money on the stock market, fast cars, bathtub gin, and that dance that everybody did, the Charleston. Out of the Charleston developed the music of the 1930s and 40s, broadcast to the nation over that magic box, the radio, by Glenn Miller, Sammy Kaye, and Tommy Dorsey. It was called Swing, and it's skated for us now by the Andrews Sisters, Maxine, Laverne, Patty, and Julie. One of the biggest of the big bands was the Benny Goodman Band, and here is Ice Capade star Kevin Parker returning to the Thornton Ice with the Benny Goodman masterpiece, Sing, Sing, Sing. Many entertainers gave of their time and talents at the USO. And here are two young ladies entertaining the troops, Shaker Club members Amy Budash and Dana Goodman. Our honor roll of great music by great bands goes on. Guy Lombardo, Claude Thornhill, Harry James, Freddie Martin, Artie Shaw, the big bands. Radio wasn't the only entertainment medium of the 20s, 30s, and 40s. Let's not forget the siren call of the silver screen in Hollywood. Soon to arrive for the opening of her new movie, accompanied by a bevy of starlets, will be the talk of Hollywood and Vine and the gossip columns, Shaker Club member and Academy Award nominee, Miss Amanda Bennett. It's difficult for those of a certain age to believe that nostalgia is no longer just the 20s, 30s, and 40s. The old days now include the 50s, the years of the Bobby Sox, DuckTales, Cadillac Fins, drive-in movies, Sputnik, Ed Sullivan, Elvis, and the beginning of rock and roll. And joining this collection of real cool and hip rockin' robins is club member Robin Margolis. What did you do on Saturday night in the 50s? Well, you went to the movies, then to the drive-in for a malt and burger, and on special Saturday nights you had a date for the dance at the school gym. Joining all of these cool cats at the Hop is skating club member Heather Stover.
Like this, the peppermint twist up, round and round, up and down, round and round, up and down, round and up and down. 1, 2, 3, kick, 1, 2, 3, jump.
Yes, it's the 1950s. Bring on glorious black and white television, Madman months, Buicks with portholes, the Beat Generation, and what else but the twist? And now, ladies and gentlemen, we're pleased to welcome back to the Thornton Ice, triple gold medalist, former star of Disney's Magic Kingdom on Ice, 1982 United States professional champion. From Greenbrier Rink here in Cleveland, Glenn Replogle. Sputnik, the first satellite to orbit the Earth, was launched by the Russians, much to the chagrin of the United States. The result was that the country re-examined its priorities and set itself on a course that culminated on July 20th, 1969, with the landing on the moon. These are the names we remember: John Glenn, Wally Schirra, Frank Borman, James Lovell, William Anders, Edwin Aldrin, and Neil Armstrong. They are the astronauts. There's an important point on our timeline, that big red, white, and blue mark at July 4th, 1976. The 200th birthday of our country, the bicentennial, with tall ships, the Boston Pops on the Esplanade, and grand and glorious fireworks everywhere. What a party that was. Every 4 years on the timeline, there is a mark lit up by a torch, the Olympic torch, and this is the year. We look backward to the events that took place in Calgary, Alberta, and forward to the events that will take place this summer at Seoul, Korea. Here's our tribute to the Olympics of 1988. There are those who say that they first came to Egypt and taught the Egyptians how to build the pyramids, that they returned and established a spaceport in the Andes, and that they are here with us now. We're talking about visitors from outer space, and if you don't believe in flying saucers and extraterrestrial phenomenon, just how do you explain what's happening on our ice? To be sure, these aliens from outer space have learned a lot about ice skating. Witness this visitor from the third planet in the Arcturus system who has assumed the body of Shaker Figure Skating Club member Kim Butler. Astronomers tell us that comets are just large chunks of dirty snow and ice. We know that comets are really time travelers, speeding through space unknown, stitching together the universe. Most people think that the stars are in the sky, but we're fortunate in having some stars right here on ice. Let's welcome back our own stars, stars of the Ice Capade, Kristen Lowry and Chip Rossback. Our timeline that started back millions of years ago continues to point the way to the future, to the great adventure that lies ahead. We're on our way, for this year's kindergarten class will be the high school graduating class of the year 2000. We are marching forward. In the words of Carl Sandburg, in the darkness, the people march. In the night and overhead, a shovel of stars for keeps. The people march. Where to? What next? The great adventure continues.